ladies and gentlemen. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce with the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. Right now on the 11th of September, 2014. How are you today? Are you doing good? Are you happening? It's 13 years ago today, a tragedy struck the United States, and people are in denial as to who, why, and all that. No one wants to believe that it was our own government that did this to us. With the help of Zionists of Israel and the other folks over there in the Middle East, as far as we're concerned, Saudi Arabia and all that. But the facts are the facts, folks, and they're out in front of your face. And if you don't want to see them, I've pointed them out many times in the last 4 or 5 years and previously to other people as well. And I can just, I just walk away from people that want to deny it all. We were attacked by terrorists from other countries. No, we weren't, folks. What about the passengers on those 2 jetliners? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, good question. What happened to them? If there were any passengers. What about that guy that called from the plane? Yeah. Never happened. Forensic evidence that has come out later on said it didn't happen. They lied to you, folks. Every single moment of that incident, they lied to you. Out of 10 commissioners on the 9/11 report, 9/11 commission, 6 of them came out later on, like 2-3 years later, and said, we didn't get all the information. They question their own reports because they didn't get all the information. So I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I can, though, point you into certain directions that would probably help you understand what's going on. And that literally can hopefully help you understand who was behind all of this. And if, I just say if, you don't want to believe it and want to deny it all, then, you're not really paying attention, are you? If there was some sort of, grand reveal of everything that was in your face, and you kept denying it, that to me is just plain stupid. In the last 13 years, many people have come out, many people have shown what the real issues are, how this whole thing, came about. All of that. And have shown the information to be true, factual, and accurate, even behind the scenes. And people are still in denial. I was reading some posts from Mark Dice today. And the comments, or the people that commented, 2 people specifically, were saying that Mark Dice is an idiot, that, if you said that in New York, you wouldn't leave in one piece, and blah, blah, blah. They're in complete and utter denial. They are. They're never. People are never going to accept anything that is right out in front of them because they don't want it. And I hear this a lot. I don't want it ruining my day. Your day's already ruined, jackass. September 11th, 2001. And then we get President Bush, who stands on the rubble and says, we hear what you're saying and they hear what you're saying. When he knew full well the whole thing was going to come down. That whole operation was going to happen. Let me ask you a question. Let me put you in a situation. I know I'm going past a break, but hey, it's my network. I can do whatever I want. Let me put you in the kindergarten class where President Bush was when he was reading, and that guy walked in and literally said, what he said to President Bush. Now, with you being there, what would you do if someone came to you, a family member, an assistant or something, came to you, whispered in your ear, hey, somebody just blew up your house? What would you do? What would you do? I know what I would do. I would calmly finish the story, look at the teacher and say, I was just told, my assistant came in or my family member came in and said something, to me, and I want to thank you all, and I have to leave now. That's how I would react. And then I would come back and, later on when everything was fixed and, whatever, come back and spend some time with the kids. But initially, I would be calm and then I'd go find out who did it. Right? So this is basically my scenario. What would happen if I was in that situation? What would you do if you were in that situation? Would you be calm or would you say, what? And look away? Because when you get news like that, you would look at whoever the person is that told you this, wouldn't you? You would look at them and like with this questioning look on your face, like, what? Somebody just blew up my house? What? Of course, you don't want to disturb and excite the kids or anything like that or cause any worry or anything. I understand that. But President Bush just sat there calmly, just like, okay. And he had that look on his face, and if you go do your research on behavior and facial expressions and nonverbal communication, and you see what would happen, or even verbal communication, and you see what happened when somebody's been told about certain things that have happened that they know about or that they, had a hand in, what is their look on their face? Not so much concern, is it? It's more like, yeah, a little bit of satisfaction with a little bit of, I hope they don't catch my ass. Okay? I hope they don't find out. So, so there's that going on. There's that whole situation going on behind the scenes. But then again, on September 11th, 2001, we already knew. Within 24 hours, the news media, the Pentagon, blah, 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 the Pentagon was hit, the all of that. When it all happened, within 24 hours, we knew it was the propaganda coming from the state-run media at the time was saying they already knew it was 19 hijackers. They already knew it was perpetrated and implemented by Osama bin Laden. They already knew who the leaders were and all this, that, and the other thing. They had video of people walking into the airports and all that, and they tracked all this down. How did they know that so quickly? How did they know that so quickly? Folks, it was a script. It was a script. And if any of you actors out there that as I am, know how to read a script, you look at your cues, you memorize your lines, you understand blocking and go from there. It's all a script, folks. It's all a script. All of it. And it is what it is. It is what it is. And you cannot look at it any other way. It is what it is. I have spent many, many days sifting through information after that happened. I was looking everywhere. I was reading Wall Street Journal. I was reading USA Today. I was reading all these papers, not only the day after, but even months after. I was looking at all the evidence that was given to us by the government. I was listening to every newscast. And how convenient certain things were put out in the news, either accidentally or accidentally on purpose, that were never talked about again. And here we are. Here we are 13 years later after it happened, and here we are September 11th, 2014. And people are saying that something else is going to happen. Some other big event is going to happen. We have ISIS, ISIL, Al-Qaeda in America now because the borders are wide open. We have all these things going on, and people are still denying that our government is as corrupt as it is. People are denying the fact that this president is a Muslim, he's a fascist, he's wanting to be the dictator of what used to be the United States of America. Now we're divided through ideology and political, differences, if you will. So what do we do? What do we do? How can we come to that realization? What is it going to take that's going to help us get to that realization that says we're freaking screwed if we don't stand up and defend this country? When is enough enough? What is it going to take? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I do know this, that as long as we have a government the way that it is, as long as we have that, we're not going to be safe in our own backyards. Now get this. Here's a little tidbit of information I found out as well. The federal government and the FAA are trying to restrict, you can go look this up, by the way, they're trying to restrict personal purchases and uses of remote-controlled drones. Now, you go to the toy store, you see all these little ones, that are in the stores with the 4 propellers and all that. You can slap a camera on that thing with no problem. A wireless camera, no big deal. Some of them have cameras on there. But what do you do? They're trying to restrict our ability to be free. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but I have a big problem with that. I don't know about you, but I like my liberty and freedom. And any time a member of our federal government wants to restrict anybody's free speech, free expression, their ability to, file grievances with the federal government, our Second Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, our Fifth Amendment, our 10th Amendment, anytime a political figure in our nation's capital wants to restrict us in those areas, I got a problem with that. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, You might think that everything's just fine. You might think that, hey, I got to go bowling tonight. I got to go play golf. I got to go pick my kids up. I got to take my kids to t-ball or ballet or whatever. I mean, you might think that everything is just fine. Let me give you a reality check that won't bounce. Everything is not fine. Everything is not fine. And we see it. We see it all around us. We see it everywhere. Okay? Everywhere. It's all over the place, folks. DCClothesline.com says the Army's plan for martial law carried out under UN authority. Everything is not fine, folks. From Nick Tucker at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. He says, as we close in on Obama to address the nation, which was last night, I didn't see it, and the world in regards to what many believe is the announcement of taking heavy military action against ISIS, remember this. What the stooges on Fox, CNN, and MSNBC say is doublespeak. What Obama will say is doublespeak. Should ISIS be taken out and destroyed? Hell yes. But what they are reporting on is half-truth at best. ISIS is Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is ISIS. And U.S. and British intelligence, along with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Israel, Turkey, and NATO, fund and give weapons to Al-Qaeda to do just what they've done, to destabilize certain countries, allow the globalists to install a puppet government and strip law-abiding citizens around the world of basic rights and liberties. Problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, get a reaction from the people, and offer the solution. Insert 9/11/2001. Benghazi was staged to allow Al-Qaeda, now ISIS, to get heat-seeking Stinger missiles and other powerful weapons to use in Syria against Assad and innocent people, as well as to shoot down passenger airlines. Sound familiar? Top officials have said ISIS are all along the southern border of the U.S., and they have chatter of a high probability of an attack on or before 9/11. Folks, today, 9/11/2014. Keep an eye out. Nick Tucker on Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook continues and says, will there be an attack? Who knows, unless you're in the club. Point is, there are 11 planes missing from Libya, and southern border of the U.S. is wide open. The globalists allow ISIS to use social media so they can track their movements. ISIS cells in the U.S. have posted pictures of Al-Qaeda flag at the White House and say they are in our cities and blah, blah. You've heard it. You've seen it, I'm sure. So back to Obama to address the nation tonight. White House officials, should be public servants, but whatever, say they need to bomb ISIS in Syria. They want Assad out of Syria. Why? He's not following along by the book with globalist agenda at the moment. Assad, Saddam, Gaddafi are not great people, but compared to the globalists, compared to who the globalists have put in, they are better on many levels. Let me interject right here and say that Saddam Hussein was propped up through the Ba'athist Party in the 1970s, I believe, by the military-industrial complex and the intelligence agencies of Britain and of the U.S., and a few other places around the Middle East as well. And he stayed in power for 40 years until he looked at everybody else that was controlling him and said, get the hell out of my backyard. And they're saying no. The globalists said no to him. So he went, screw you. And what happened? He kidnapped a bunch of people in 1991, and that's why Daddy Bush went in and bombed the crap out of them. Well, that was a false flag event to get us in there. Okay, to destabilize the country, because at that point he was telling the globalists, you can kiss my ass, I'm not going to do what you want. You know? So they didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. Same thing with Gaddafi recently. Recently he gave up his weapons of mass destruction, and he was trying to be at peace, and he's going, no, I don't want these things. Get them out of here. But the Middle East is a very crucial area. Why? Oil and other resources. So when the globalists go in and destabilize a country around an area that has resources like that, you can guarantee within a matter of years there's going to be massive upheaval, massive wars, and political leaders that they set up trying to tell them, no, we don't want this. And they're going, yeah, you're going to do this. That's why they want Assad out. Because Assad's telling the globalists, kiss my ass, I'm not going to do this. And they're going, yeah, you will. You play on our team. Oh, screw you. Well, that's why they want him out. Nick Tucker, Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook, continues and writes this: whether they stage military action against ISIS or not, it does not even matter, because they will always be around, because that's the globalist favorite murderers. 9/11 was an inside job, and many people have lost their lives for nothing but for the globalists to gain more power and seize more countries and install more puppet governments. Tunisia, Egypt, we go down the list, folks. He continues and says, I leave you with this. Beware of what doublespeak the puppet Obama will say tonight. There is no such thing as coincidence when dealing with the globalists and major events. 13th anniversary of 9/11 is tomorrow, today now. Obama to make a major announcement tonight in regards to ISIS on the eve of 9/11. The southern border is wide open, and they've said ISIS could very well attack on or before 9/11. 11 planes were missing from Libya. ISIS is Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda is funded and protected by the West. The Illuminati numbers are once again in play, and fear-mongering propaganda is in full swing. Stay on your toes. Okay? It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. You cannot get around it. You cannot avoid it. You cannot deny it. It's in your face. There it is. I just don't know what to tell you, folks. I really, really don't know what to tell you. I'll be back right after this. Mainstream science argues that if something can't be touched, measured, quantified, and duplicated in a laboratory, then it doesn't exist. According to this worldview, reality is an unconscious, non-personal mass of matter, which leaves no room for the existence of spiritual or unexplained phenomena. But is that all there really is to reality? Marie D. Jones and Larry Flaxman don't think so, and after reading this book, neither will you. In The Grid, paranormal investigators and best-selling authors Jones and Flaxman present their theory of the grid, a divine superstructure that includes multiple levels of existence, the entirety of which makes up our reality. Jones and Flaxman will show you how to release the limiting belief that this is all there is once and for all by exploring the grid, expanding your awareness, and empowering your life in the process. Reality, dear friend, will never be the same again. The Grid, Exploring the Hidden Infrastructure of Reality by Marie D. Jones and Larry Flaxman. Available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. Catch up on the latest news and controversy and more on The Spencer Hughes Show on Spreaker.com and SpencerHughes.net. Don't wait until another natural or man-made disaster strikes. Have at least 72 hours of emergency gear near you at all times, and that includes food. Get your emergency food supply today. Go to freeamericaradio.us, and at the top of the page, click on the emergency food supply link. Help your family by purchasing as much emergency food supply as you need. You'll be helping out your family and Free America Radio Network. Thank you.
Sharing the truth one fact at a time. This is the Free America Radio Network.
Hey, folks, this is the Free America Radio Network, and this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 11th of September, 2014. How are you today? Are you as anxious today as most people? I mean, seriously. I mean, take a look. I mean, what is going on? Now, previously in the last segment, I talked about how everything is set up, everything is, they're the globalists and the corporations and those that run them want to cull humanity. C-U-L-L. Go look that up, dictionary.com. Cull humanity. The Georgia Guidestones talks about it. And everything has been set up to do just that. Because everything is rigged, folks. Everything is rigged. Okay? I mentioned this yesterday, but I'll talk about this again today, and I'll break this down for you as much as I can with the remaining time I've got. Mike Adams over at naturalnews.com broke this down very, very well, but I'm going to try to simplify it for you. Mike Adams is the editor of naturalnews.com. He's the health ranger. He wrote this 2 years ago, October 11th. Almost 2 years ago. 11 months, 11? Did I say 11 months ago? No, almost 2 years ago. 23 months ago. Okay. October 11th, 2012, Mike Adams, editor, naturalnews.com, said this. I've been pondering this topic for weeks, trying to find the words to communicate the full impact of this realization to which we are all increasingly awakening. Everything is rigged. The stock market, the news, the food, your taxes, public schools, the healthcare system, and on and on. Even Lance Armstrong's cycling victories were all apparently rigged with doping, we're now finding out. But what do I mean by rigged specifically? All these systems and industries are rigged to cheat you, to suppress you, to ultimately to suppress your human potential. Think about it. The sick care system is intentionally engineered to give you cancer, keep you sick, keep you locked into a medical system that enriches powerful corporations while sacrificing human life. The financial system is rigged to quietly steal the value of your money through endless monetary creation, known as quantitative easing. The more money the Fed prints, the less valuable the money you worked so hard to earn is left remaining. The political system is utterly rigged to give you the illusion of choice while parading in front of you two puppets of different skin colors who both serve the same masters, the banksters. The food system is rigged with GMOs that actually poison you while spreading genetic pollution across farms and fields everywhere. The news is utterly and comprehensively rigged, and this was highlighted yet again by former CNN star reporter Amber Lyon, who just went public with scathing accusations about how CNN allowed foreign terror regimes to actually buy positive coverage on CNN's broadcasts. This story was absolutely astonishing, and the very best interview of Amber Lyon exposing all this was conducted by Alex Jones and is found on YouTube.com, a must-see video. See Amber Lyon's website at amberlyonlive.com. Now, I can go down and read you all of this, but seriously, this is on Free America Radio on Facebook, so you can check that out yourself as well. In the remaining time I have, I want to really get into a lot when it comes to the things that we believe to be real. Okay? Now, I want to let you know that I don't have all the answers. I search and research and look through all of this information and piece it together, not in the wrong way, but I find those things that relate with one another. It's like putting a puzzle together. You can't put the wrong piece in an area that you think it should go and just say, oh, there it is. No, you have to find the right piece. And we see these things as they unfold. And sometimes we don't have advance notice. It has now come out in declassified documents and, of course, as we know, whistleblowers, that when you look back in history in 1941, the president back then knew exactly what was going to happen weeks before it happened on December 7th, 1941. At least in November, he knew. He had wind of it. He had intelligence saying, this is going to happen. And he's going, no, it's not. And then a couple of weeks before, maybe 3 weeks before, he's going, yeah, I think it's going to happen. But we can't tell the American people. Same thing with Korea. 6 years after World War II. Same thing with Vietnam. 1957, 58, the French went in there to try to, calm the nerves, you know what I mean? We didn't want to go in there. President Kennedy in 1960 said, no, we cannot go in there. By then, we had some advisors in there. And he said he was going to take him out. It's going to pull him back, pull him out, bring him home, stuff like that. Well, his vice president, Lyndon Johnson, went, no. And that, of course, we know what happened November 22nd, 1963. And then a year later, we see what happens. The full force of the American military goes into Vietnam under the leadership of Lyndon Baines Johnson. And he makes billions of dollars from that. You don't believe it? Go connect the dots. They're there. A lot of stuff happens. And back then we didn't get a preview of anything in the news of, well, they're saying this and they're saying that, and we didn't get that. But now, since people since then, people have been looking for the information, the intelligence, if you will, to try to find what's going to happen next. And regardless of what website you go to nowadays, regardless of what, information you gather from whatever source, please pick it apart and connect the dots with other verifiable, credible information and put it together, and it will show you. And you'll have more questions, obviously, because I did, and that's why I keep researching as much as I do. Above top secret. U.S. Army urges preparation for troops to occupy New York City and other mega cities. HumansAreFree.com is where this is at. So let's go there. A U.S. Army report warns that American troops need to be prepared to enter New York City and other global mega cities in order to prevent civil unrest, political uprisings, and protect key infrastructure and natural resources in the national interest. It's all about the national interest, folks. The report entitled Megacities and the United States Army, there's a PDF for it, which you can click on and get. And I'm doing that now. It's loading, and I'm saving it. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, folks, because this is very important. The report, entitled Megacities in the United States Army, was released by the Chief of Staff of the Army Strategic Studies Group, cautioning that the power of the national governments to deal with the problems caused by increasing urbanization and the growth of megacities is, quote-unquote, diminishing, the report notes. Quote, it is inevitable that at some point the United States Army will be asked to operate in a megacity, and currently the Army is ill-prepared to do so, unquote. Given increasing concerns about martial law and the militarization of domestic law enforcement in the United States, some will be concerned to learn that one of these megacities where U.S. troops may operate is New York City. Indeed, the report notes, quote, it is plausible that the Army could be called to act in one of these places tomorrow. As their size and importance grows, it becomes probable, unquote. Reasons given for why U.S. troops may be sent into major cities to deal with social dislocation include unrest, income disparity, natural disasters, and illicit networks who challenge state power. According to the report, all of these problems will create, quote, friction which compels future military intervention, unquote, and, quote, will require boots on the ground, unquote. The document also spells out how many of these megacities represent, quote, conduits of access to critical natural resources like petroleum, unquote. Resource trends which represent, quote, strategic key terrain in any future crisis that requires U.S. military intervention, unquote. Quote, such conditions would likely call for some form of outside intervention. If the demand signal or threat poses enough risk to U.S. national interest, military intervention is likely a scenario, unquote, states the report. In dealing with unrest or upheaval in megacities, the document notes that controlling urban populations physically is virtually impossible and that, quote, virtual isolation is even more improbable given cell phone saturation in urban environments worldwide and global interconnectedness through the World Wide Web, unquote. The report warns that the Army, quote, the Army is not prepared for operations in these unique operational environments, unquote, concluding that, quote, the Army is currently unprepared, unquote, to respond to strategic surprises that could emerge as a result of a rapidly growing megacities. The document lists a number of recommendations to prepare U.S. troops for intervention in global megacities, one of which includes building, quote, civil-military partnerships to facilitate training, testing, and experimentation in large U.S. cities, unquote. As we highlighted in previous report that humansarefree.com had, and also this is a report by Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars posted on humansarefree.com. And Paul Joseph Watson says, as we highlighted in a previous report, part of the U.S. Army's preparation for occupying megacities also include the neutralization of groups, quote, who can influence the lives of the population while undermining the authority of the state, unquote. A chillingly vague description which could easily be applied to political dissidents. Given recent Army training manuals which detail preparations for, quote, full-scale riots, unquote, within the United States, during which troops may be forced to engage in a, quote-unquote, lethal response to deal with the crowds of demonstrators, the fact that U.S. troops are being prepared to occupy major cities in the near future is extremely concerning. In light of the warnings that ISIS terrorists are preparing to cross over from Mexico and conduct attacks on U.S. soil, many will question why the Army is focusing on internal occupation of cities when Americans' porous borders represent a far more pressing security threat. This is one of those things, folks. And just to give you a heads up, this is a report from Infowars.com that was posted on humansarefree.com. It is what it is, folks. I cannot even begin to tell you what is going to happen if you and I do not prepare ourselves. I cannot begin to tell you how incredibly catastrophic it would be if you and I were not prepared. Strategy is take out the cities or occupy the cities with military, take out the political dissidents and the protesters, allow the borders to open, or they're open now, but allow the criminals to come in and take over, and then squash them, and then take over the whole United States. This is the strategy of the New World Order, of the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rand Corporation, all of these people. It's in their documents, folks. It's also in the Army manuals. Go look it up. I have done everything I could to learn about what is happening. And I've known this for well over 30 years that this is going to happen. When Jimmy Carter was president, and he had that little operation in Grenada to try to rescue some prisoners or whatever it was, I knew when the helicopter went down and crashed, I knew something was wrong. I knew it. And then, of course, you had the hostages at that point. And it came out later on that the hostages were saying, we're not going to release these prisoners under Jimmy Carter. We're going to wait till Reagan gets in office. Basically, that's what it was. Now, why is that if it wasn't implied that the federal government of America didn't already know what was happening? In other words, they must have had foreknowledge of what was happening. How it was going to happen, how it was going to play out, this is what's going to happen, because they wanted to make Jimmy Carter look like a total doofus, which, of course, everybody says that Obama's worse than Carter. Well, now Carter looks like a freaking angel compared to what's happening now. But you have to understand, it is what it is. It's right out there in front of your face, and you're going to sit there and deny it all? You can go back in history and look at this. So when I was looking at all this through the 80s and going through all my, adolescence and all this kind of crap and, working and doing all this, I was still, from time to time, researching most of this. So I didn't start really digging into this until the late 80s, early 90s. But everything that I knew, that I researched from the time I was in high school to the time, about 89, 90, 91, I began to see a connection, and everything was validated from the time I was researching this around, like I said, 89, 90, 91. And I saw this stuff happening before my eyes, and I began to think, there's something to this. What is happening? I was living in California in 92 and doing some things as well, and day jobs and that kind of stuff. And living. I was living. But I was researching. And I found out through different sources that everything that I saw from years ago, not 20 years prior, was happening. Everything that I saw happening at that point, my question is, what's next? What's going to happen next? So I began to research it. And what I found out, everything that I found out to answer that question of what's next, happened. It was like a freaking script. It was like a freaking script. And when Bill Clinton knew about the terrorist attacks in Beirut and all this, I think it was Beirut. It was the time, when it killed 200 and something Marines in Beirut. Or was that under Reagan? I don't remember. But he knew the information. Clinton knew the information. Clinton knew what was happening at the time because Bush had just gotten out of office. And he knew what was going on. He knew. And it always kind of gets me a little... it's a little odd that we've had governors as presidents. It's amazing that this has happened. As much as I remember, I mean, we had Nixon, wasn't a governor, but we had Ford. That's a whole different ballgame there. Everything changed in the Reagan administration. Reagan was governor of California. Then we had Bush, who was head of the CIA at the time, wasn't a governor. Then we had Bill Clinton, who was governor of Arkansas. Then we had another Bush. Didn't we? Did we have another Bush? And then we had, we have this guy. The point is, everything is moving and everything is happening the way that it has happened, scripted down to every last detail, but it's taken years to develop the idea, to put it in the script, and to implement it out to the general public. Anytime a military either exercise or campaign starts, it takes anywhere between 6 months to a year for it to get implemented. Well, in 1993, when Bill Clinton was in office, when he was president, the truck bomb blew up in the World Trade Centers in the parking garage. Remember that? 8 years later, planes hit the building. That took a lot of time to plan and implement what was going to happen. So I'm sure Bill Clinton knew what was going to happen. I'm sure of it. And I know that he knew who was behind it. Okay? Now, a lot of people, such as, Glenn Beck and all of this and all those people are saying, well, that's just speculation and conspiracy theory. No, it's not. It's out there. It's in history. You can go look at it. It's right there in front of your face. And if you can't see it, you're freaking blind. Okay? So anyway, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I find it incredibly odd that we have a president that is purposely trying to destroy the United States of America. Now, why do I say they're trying to purposely destroy the United States of America? It's pretty simple to me, I would think. That they want the United States to collapse so they can fold it into the New World Order under UN Charter. We already got UN Agenda 21 floating around and being implemented throughout all of the United States in major cities. We've already got the Sustainable Development. That's under UN Agenda 21. That's a very fascist, very dictatorial type of policies they're implementing in the U.S. So what's the sole purpose? The goal, the sole purpose, whatever it may be, to subjugate you like peasants in a kingdom. Enslave you within your own little area, your own little group, or haul your asses off to a FEMA camp near you to use you as quote-unquote human resources in whatever it is they want you to do. They'll conscript you into some sort of military-type organization, and you have no say in the matter if you play ball with them. And that's just the bottom line. That's what they want to do. I'm going to go to break. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. If you want to email me, you can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. You can go to thewaynesPierceShow.weebly.com. And if you have any questions, hey, ask me. You'll never know. If you don't, I'll be right back. Photography is an art form, and Adventures in Photography shows you all of the forms of art there is in our world. Spencer Hughes captures the colors and works of natural art in his book, Adventures in Photography. For more information, go to SpencerHughesPhotography.com.
Sarasota's home for R&B and soul. The Razor Blade Express with Dave the Rave.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Ah, damn politicians. My mother always told me this country would be screwed if the liberals had their way. The only sanity I get is when I listen to Jeff Wagner on the Conservative Voice, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com.
Sharing the truth one fact at a time. This is the Free America Radio Network.
Hey, folks, this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show right here. Well, it's a podcast. It's not live. Usually live, but, you know, what can I say? It is the 11th of September, 2014. What happened 13 years ago is a travesty against the United States of America, considering that our government already knew about it, and knew about it years before. This is the thing. What are we sitting around for, you know, listening to these frickin' morons? The propaganda that is coming off of the state-run media is just incredible. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's just incredible how these freaking people in the state-run media lie to your face on every single every single day on every single subject. It's just incredible. I mean, it is. It's just incredible. I have done a lot of... I've done a lot, really. And it is... what I've seen throughout the whole... what I've seen throughout the whole issue of what we've gone through in the last 13 years, I've seen several things. First, I have seen people who are complete and utter morons think that actual 19 hijackers took these planes and slammed them into buildings when the evidence doesn't prove that out. Well, there's video and there's this and there's... You're a freaking moron. The evidence doesn't reflect the state-run media's propaganda, period. Don't like it? I don't give a crap. I know the evidence. It's right there in front of my face. Direct energy weapons, gray planes, some of the witnesses have said. Some of the newscasters in the area of New York and the surrounding area have said it did not look like a civilian jetliner. So, hey, you're a freaking moron if you believe 19 hijackers did this. There was no plane parts, plane debris in Pennsylvania. There was no plane debris at the Pentagon. There was nothing. And, oh my goodness, a fully intact a fully intact passport fell out of the plane onto the ground and was not burned at all. No. Doesn't happen, folks. Doesn't happen. The evidence to the propaganda on the state-run media doesn't. The evidence against the state-run media is there and is in your face and does not reflect any let's rephrase this, because I got something to say here before I leave in the next minute and a half or so. Every time you look at something, I don't care what it is, you walk into McDonald's, you're walking through the mall, whatever. When you look at something, do you question it? Great. Because now you got more to question. I don't want it to ruin my day. Your day has already been ruined on September 11th, 2001, jackass. Okay? You got to do what you got to do. You got to live how you have to live. But when you live in complete denial of what is happening, that the evidence that is out there proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that the state-run media is lying through their teeth, when it's right there in your face, you cannot deny it. Okay? Everybody has an opinion. Yeah, and they're wrong. When the evidence doesn't stack up in favor of their opinion. Period. Go to court. Go to court. Listen to the prosecutor and the defense attorney. They have to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they're right. They have to prove themselves right with the evidence presented for or against that person being accused of whatever crime they committed. Period. The evidence is there. It's in your face. You cannot deny it. And there you go. There you go. I don't know why people are going to sit there and chomp on their bag of potato chips and watch their stupid ESPN and their damn reality shows, because you know what? There's something going on outside of your abode that you paid money for to live in because you just want to be free of all that. You know, I can go on and on and on and on. You're nothing but sheeple. You don't really give a crap. And there's a majority of people out there that do, and we're trying to help others wake up to the fact that we live in a corrupt North American Union and it's being destroyed from the inside out, and you and I have to defend ourselves against the New World Order, period. Oh, the New World Order is going to fail. That is a definite thing that will happen. Put a big giant exclamation point on that. Hey, I'm going to get out of here, folks. I could go another hour, but I got things to do. So enjoy your day. Let's remember those that have fallen. Let's remember those that live and understand what's going on. Let's always send prayers to them as well. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you today on the Views Expressed, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Free America Radio Network.